Welcome to Monkey Shine Lab, buddy. Today we're going to be covering something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about shower caddies. I'm kidding. If you're like me and you have a lot of home video because of streaming services being unreliable, then you've seen this before. Films that were issued in 4:3 screen ratios back in the day when we had 4:3 screen ratio TVs at home, and then the movie studios, for whatever reason, decided not to issue 16:9 prints, which means that you are missing 40% of the screen that the original cinematographers and directors all saw. So it's kind of like cutting the Mona Lisa down to just the smile and the eyes, because that's all people really look at, right? So this really aggravates me because there are a lot of movies that I love and they're only available in this pan and scan format. I have over 2,000 titles in my home video library. And of that, there's maybe a handful of films that I have had to accept copies of 4:3 screen ratio, the old square TV ratio, because that's the only way those films are available. And one of the films that I have had to accept this with for a very long time is a film called Nothing But Trouble. Now, if you're familiar with it at all, you know that this is just a very bizarre film. There is an excellent documentary or two about this film already on YouTube, and I will attempt to put the link in the description of one of the ones that I've seen that I think is pretty good. But essentially, this film was a pet project of Dan Aykroyd's. And so he was leveraging all of his star power and his money at the time from, I believe it was Ghostbusters or something of that nature. And so they had this wacky idea for a film, which, okay, the first time you see this movie, perhaps you're scratching your head. The second time you see the movie, you're kind of like, this is weird. This is, wow, it's fun. I don't know how I feel about this film. And the more it sort of sits in the back of your head, the greater space it takes up. And the film is, they spent a tremendous amount of money on the sets and everything else that you see going by in this film. And to, cut 40% of the picture off, and you're only getting that square of action when there's really a cat right in back of me but you'd never know that because it's been cropped this way. You miss all of the really brilliant sort of sets that were built for this film. And believe me, they're worth seeing, okay? And for the longest time, this movie was not available in a 16 by 9 format, but it is now. If you are a fan of this film, you can now have the original lensing of it. They've got several new interviews on them and a lot more specials, but this is put out by, if you see down here, you see Shout Select. This is, Shout is a company that puts out like television shows and films and stuff like that. They're kind of like a similar thing to Criterion, but not quite so stuffy about what their catalog holds. And this is one of those movies that they have now issued a 16 by 9 print. If you are wondering, it is always listed on the back of a DVD as to what you are seeing. And if you see standard, then you know that the director, the actors, the cinematographer, and so many more people who worked on the film were getting ripped off in the representation of it in the future. And I mean, you know, when you do that to grumpier old men or maybe a Steve Martin comedy, you don't lose quite as much. But in this case, in this particular case, I urge you to go back and watch this movie again, because there are multiple parts played by various actors in it. It's so bizarre, but it's very funny, and the sets that they built for this judge's mansion and stuff, and the junkyard around it, is absolutely astounding. So I will put the link in the description below of a thing that you can watch about this film and why it has been such an absolute crime that Dan Aykroyd's pet project has been treated the way it has for decades. Okay, DVD started up, about 2000, 2001 in earnest, somewhere in there. And so you're talking about 2 decades at least of a film being ignored in its proper format. So go out and support what these people are doing, because they're making some minor dreams come true in the cinema world. Now, fix the Steve Martin catalog. I would like to have a full, a 16 by 9 presentation, whatever the ratio was, of Roxanne and Man with Two Brains and all of these things that I've shown you. Grumpier Old Men. Those are brilliant comedies. And it just sucks that somebody, probably not even the director, made those decisions. Okay? Anyway, let's go back to toy hunting. Older stuff. And mixed in with some new. like I can't find that one set, the Batman set, anymore. You know, you snooze, you lose. Nothing in the matchbox. Nothing. Oh well. Harvester 17. That figures. Again, some older, some newer. Oh, somebody left an art project, but I don't think there's going to be anything in here that I am looking for. Well, let's see what else there is going on. Batman set. No, Batman set. These things are still hanging on. We haven't seen any new Monster Jam in a long time. We haven't seen. Waiting on some Matchbox to arrive. Good Lord. Shucks. I guess. Could that be all that it is? Another football team. That's pretty cool. At least I'm covering some Power Rangers for you out there. How about some G.I. Joe? How am I doing, Jersey?